Something extraordinary is happening at the Cincinnati Open, and it has nothing to do with the scoreboard. Maria Sharapova, five-time Grand Slam champion, former world number one of the greatest to ever hold a racket, is standing inside the Lindner Family Tennis Center in Mason, Ohio, and she is stunned. Not by the tennis, not by the star-studded field, by her, by the sea of Philippine flags stretching across the stands, by the deafening roar of thousands chanting one name, by a ticket rush so overwhelming it left tournament director Bob Moran completely speechless. EALA has arrived in Cincinnati, and the tennis world will never be the same. Let's set the scene. Just weeks ago, Toronto's Sobeys Stadium was electric. 10,000 seats packed, Filipino flags everywhere, fans chanting "Alex, Alex" so loud the walls shook. It was unlike anything a tournament had seen for a player outside the top 10. Broadcasters didn't know how to describe it. Tournament staff who had worked that building for years said they had never felt anything like it. And now Cincinnati is getting the exact same treatment. The Filipino community, one of the largest diaspora populations in the entire United States, has mobilized. Fans drove in from across Ohio. They flew in from California, New York, neighboring states. Some traveled across the country just to be in that building when Alex walked onto that court. Hotels near the venue reported a noticeable spike in bookings the week the draw was released. Local restaurants started fielding questions about whether they served Filipino food. This wasn't a normal tournament week, and everyone around the grounds could feel it. When she arrived at the venue, the walkways were already lined with people, banners, flags, children in replica kits, adults with tears in their eyes. The energy wasn't just excitement, it felt like a homecoming, because for millions of Filipinos around the world, that's exactly what it is. EALA isn't just a tennis player to them. She is proof that resilience wins, proof that a girl from the Philippines can stand on the biggest stages in sport and belong there, proof that you don't need to come from a tennis nation, a wealthy academy, or a famous surname to reach the top of a global sport. You just need to refuse to stop. The moment her entry into the Cincinnati Open was confirmed, something remarkable happened. Tickets vanished. Tournament director Bob Moran, a man who has seen plenty of marquee names come through this event over the years, described the demand as simply unbelievable. He'd seen Serena. He'd seen Federer in the mixed exhibitions. He'd seen the biggest names in the sport walk through those gates. He said nothing quite compared to the speed of this surge. And this wasn't just casual interest. This was passion. This was an entire community rallying behind one of their own. The way people rally behind a hometown hero who somehow made it all the way to the top of the world. One analyst put it perfectly. The Filipino population follows her. She is the biggest sports star in their country by far, male or female. Not the biggest tennis star, not the biggest female athlete, the biggest sports star, period. In a country of over 100 million people with a deep, decades-long love affair with basketball and boxing, Andy Roddick coined a name for it, EALA, and he said it with a grin. EALA is fun. When people are organizing watch parties in arenas across a country for a fourth-round match, something real is happening, something that goes beyond tennis. Roddick, a former U.S. Open champion who has seen every kind of fan movement tennis has ever produced, wasn't just being polite. He was pointing at something structural, a shift in who tennis's audience actually is. Former British number one Greg Rusedski went even further, comparing the intensity of Filipino fan support to the Serena Williams era. That's not a small comparison. Serena didn't just win matches. She built a movement that pulled entirely new audiences into a sport that had, for decades, struggled to look outside its traditional base. Rusedski's comparison is a statement about cultural power, not just fandom. Now, here's where the story gets deeply personal. Maria Sharapova has been watching EALA's rise for a while now. And just weeks ago, after EALA's historic Wimbledon victory over defending champion Iga Swiatek, Sharapova did something that stopped EALA in her tracks. She left a comment on Wimbledon's Instagram post. 2 words. A star. That's it. Simple, powerful, and it meant everything. For most players, a comment from a retired legend is a nice gesture and nothing more. For EALA, it was something closer to a childhood dream, quietly closing a loop she never expected to close. EALA later opened up about that moment. Maria is really my childhood idol. She's someone I looked up to so much when I was young. The fact that she's commenting on my post means she knows who I am. That's a win. I'll take it. There's something almost disarming about how she said it. No forced humility, no scripted gratitude. just the plain honesty of someone still processing that her idol is paying attention to her. Now, Sharapova isn't just commenting from a distance. She's here in Cincinnati, watching the flags wave, hearing the chants, feeling the electricity in that arena firsthand. And she couldn't believe it, because Sharapova has seen it all. She's watched superstars rise. She's seen legends fade. She's played in front of some of the loudest, most hostile, most adoring crowds tennis has ever produced. She knows what real star power looks like because she had it herself at the very top of the sport for over a decade. And the fact that the EALA frenzy has caught her off guard, that tells you everything you need to know about the scale of what's happening. For EALA, this is a full circle moment. A little girl once stood in awe of Sharapova, watching her matches, studying her game, dreaming about a career that felt impossibly far away for a kid from a country with no real tennis infrastructure. And now that same legend is standing in awe of her. So what does Cincinnati look like for Alex EALA on paper? She enters as the number 17 seed, the highest seeding of her career in a WTA 1000 event, and a number that would have sounded like fantasy to her just 2 years ago. That comes with a first-round bye, sending her straight into the second round. Her likely opening opponent will be either Romania's Elena Gabriela Rus or Poland's Magdalena Frank, both experienced players who have defeated her before and both dangerous enough to end a run before it gets started. The projected path gets tougher from there. A third-round matchup with Amanda Anisimova, a big-hitting American capable of blowing any opponent off the court on a good day. A potential fourth-round battle with Linda Noskova, the reigning Wimbledon champion and one of the most in-form players on tour. And if she gets through that, Jessica Pegula waiting in the quarterfinals. A top 10 fixture who knows exactly how dangerous EALA has become. It is not an easy draw. On paper, it might be one of the toughest of her career. But nobody told those thousands of fans to go home. Nobody told them to lower their flags or quiet their chants. Because this isn't just about winning or losing a match. This is about witnessing something historic, whatever the scoreline ends up being. As one voice in that crowd said, people are spending their hard-earned money to be here because they love her. They love her personality. They love her game. She's just got it. Some people just have that thing. Step back for a moment and look at what this really means. Tennis has long been concentrated in North America and Europe. The sport's biggest stars, its biggest markets, its biggest broadcast deals have all traditionally lived in the same handful of countries. Asian players have rarely cracked the upper ranks of the tour, and when they have, the breakthroughs have often come from nations with existing tennis infrastructure. The Philippines had never produced a professional tennis star before Alex. Not one, not at this level. She has changed all of that, essentially by herself, from a standing start. She speaks in her native tongue during interviews, unafraid of code-switching mid-sentence when the emotion calls for it. She wears her heritage proudly, from the fabric of her outfits to the flag she wraps herself in after big wins. She has appeared on the cover of Vogue Philippines, Tatler, and virtually every major publication in her country. And she has done it not by chasing a certain image, not by hiring a team to manufacture a persona, but by being completely unapologetically herself. Her peers have noticed. Danielle Collins said, "I love how comfortable she is in her own skin. I love how genuinely kind she is." Coco Gauff welcomed her impact directly. "I like that Alex brings a whole new demographic to the WTA Tour." And Jessica Pegula mentioned EALA's influence in her own runner-up speech at the Washington Open, publicly acknowledging the crowd that had come, overwhelmingly, for someone else. Even Naomi Osaka has spoken about the passionate Filipino fan base that follows EALA everywhere she goes, calling it one of the most electric atmospheres she's experienced on tour in years. Andy Roddick said it best. Everyone in tennis should be cheering for her. If she can bring hundreds of millions of new people to this sport, I'm cheering for that, because it's better for tennis. Coming from a former world number one who built his own career in an era obsessed with ratings and audience growth, that's not a small endorsement. Let's talk about where this girl came from, because the scale of what's happening in Cincinnati only makes sense once you understand the distance she's traveled. She picked up a tennis racket at age 4 years old. There was no national academy waiting for her, no long lineage of Filipino champions to study, no blueprint to follow. In 2022, she became the first Filipino player in history to win a junior Grand Slam title, a moment that barely registered outside tennis circles at the time but now looks like the first spark of everything that followed. In March 2025, she shocked the world with a run to the Miami Open semifinals, defeating 3 Grand Slam champions along the way, including Iga Świątek, a result that made tennis analysts sit up and pay attention for the first time. In 2026, she made history again, becoming the first Filipina to win a Grand Slam singles main draw match at the US Open, a milestone that had eluded every player from her country before her. And then came the moment that changed everything. Her first WTA Tour singles title, Washington, D.C., the EALA mania fully unleashed, no longer a slow-building storyline, but a full-blown phenomenon with stadiums, flags, chants, and headlines to match. And now, Cincinnati, where a 5-time Grand Slam champion is standing in the stands, genuinely stunned by what she